This is the Ask Amberleigh Show. All right.
Okay.
She stands alone now. Yay.
All right. Well, welcome to the Ask Amberleigh Show.
Thank you for having me.
I love this. So, where do we begin?
Well, first off, thank you for hosting this because I know you hate being seen.
I hate a mic, a light, and a stage.
You hate
it.
Hate it.
I know.
So thank you so much for doing this for me.
This is your show where everybody's the host.
Yes.
I love this. I love this. I think we should start with a little
cheers.
Cheers. Because, you know, we love a champagne.
Yes.
And a lime moment. Are we drinking this early in the morning?
Yeah.
Sure.
Of course. Isn't it better with a lime?
It is. So I never even thought of this because normally people put lemon.
Yeah.
But lime makes sense.
I put lime. You know this. I put lime in my beers, my white Heine's. Heinekens for people who
y'all missed the whole shebang of. So to be her friend is interesting because whenever we go out to eat, you have a bar.
Yeah.
You have water, sparkling water, your cocktail, then your wine, and
then coffee.
A coffee. Yes. Yeah. And then a juice.
Yep.
You stay hydrated and liquefied.
I need options.
Okay.
Because I'll change from moment to moment. I'm like, oh, God, I really want coffee right now in the middle of drinking a Negroni.
Right. You're so weird.
I know. I don't know why.
Speaking of weird and speaking of you, so this is Ask Amberleigh Show where, I love that everyone that comes on this show is going to be able to ask you anything they want.
Yeah.
That they want. See, this is why I shouldn't do this. That they want to know about you.
Yeah.
Or them, but they're asking you. Does that make sense? Am I landing the plane? Also, follow if you can. This is what it's like being friends with me. She could probably, the only one that's just follow me.
Breadcrumb. Go, squirrel. Back to the breadcrumbs.
Right. But this first episode of the Ask Amberleigh Show, I feel like people need to know just you. No one needs to know anything about me. No one needs to even, I do it all the time. I have shows out, I've been on air, but number one question I get all the time is what does she do? Who is she? All the things about Amberleigh. So let's first start with us because, there is the big
elephant not to make it about me, but to make it about me.
Not to make it about me, but to make it about me. I don't even need my cards for this. If we can start just on our friendship. How did we meet? Why are we friends? People are confused.
Yeah. Well, so are we. We do not make any sense.
None. We should have never been friends or ever. We met on a podcast.
We did. Ironically, we met on a podcast years ago, 12 years ago to be exact, on your timeline. But it was, 2019 we met. But before then, I remember you telling me you saw me in Raw Republic from afar and you were terrified of me.
Terrified of you. Because you were upstairs. You were doing
energy work,
energy
my job,
work, and
what I do.
Yeah, so I call it hoodoo, voodoo, hoo-hoo. I call it all that stuff. So I was, you were upstairs at Raw. You were in a tent.
A tent?
Well, you were in a tent?
No.
I thought you were in a tent and you were doing color. What were you doing?
Oh, did you come for the aura thing?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't doing that. So we had someone come in a yurt, by the way. It wasn't a tent. A yurt. Doing aura photos, which was so fun. But no, I don't do that.
I remember seeing you and I was like, oh my God, you were terrifying. And then I decided no. I remember being like, no. And that was it. And then so then there's a podcast that we did together. I was the guest speaker on this. And then I was supposed to have a host. I think Terrence Osborne was supposed to host. He couldn't make it. And so
I filled in for him.
Tatum was like, so Dr. Amberleigh Carter is coming and, she's great. You're going to love her. She's a doctor of metaphysics. And I'm like, what? I don't even know what this means. I've never heard the word metaphysics. And then she says, oh, she's going to be able to know if you're a good person or a bad person. And I was like,
why? Do you think you're bad?
I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? When people say that, you're like, oh, they're going to see all of the bad things about me.
Judgment Day.
Right. So then you walked in and I was like, oh my God, the most gorgeous woman ever. Your whole energy was just you looked like you were 7 feet tall and it was just a beautiful specimen walking in. And I was just like, wow. I need to know her. I need to be friends with her. I don't know. I never do that.
You told me, you're like, you look like you could be friends with me. I was like,
that's not right.
Okay. Okay.
So then I was like, put your number in my phone.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history.
Oh, we don't want to go to you sliding into my DMs?
I did not slide into you. You made it sound all creepy and weird.
I know, it wasn't. It was not.
I lived in Mandeville at the time, and I have no friends up here. And so I realized you lived up here, and we can go have a drink. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. No, you volleyed it to me. Then you got scared. She got cold feet when I responded.
Yes.
And you were like, nope, not doing that. So then a few months later, you were at the Son of a Saint gala and you posted something on your stories. Oh, yeah. And it came up on my feed. And I was like, oh, you look gorgeous. Let's hang out soon. You're like, yes, when? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow? I'm very instant.
Yeah, you are.
And there you go. We had the first dinner and you thought we were just going to have appetizers and we closed the place down.
We did. We shut the place down and I thought I was never going to see you again.
And then I saw you the next day. I think it was like 2 days later.
Yeah, you were like, we're doing brunch.
So this is, and then we're going to wrap this up. But I saw her the second time and then we went to brunch and I had a vulnerability hangover where for some reason on the second date of ours or second meeting, I told her everything about my life. Yeah. Like for no reason. I don't even know why I did this. Like told you too much. Like, should I trust her?
You were like confessing.
Like I was like,
all your sins.
Right. It was like, it was confessional. I was like this,
I am a reverend, but yeah.
It was wild. The next morning I woke up, I'm like, what did I do?
Yeah.
So then we had to be friends.
Yeah. You were like, I can't not be friends with you because you know too much.
You know too much.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. I already forgot everything you said.
And then 3 months later, we were like traveling and went to LA and then
it's true.
That was it.
Yeah. I don't know why I said yes. I was like, sure.
And we realized we were just like, meant to be. Anyway,
2 peas in a pod.
So that's our friendship. And it's been 4 years and it seems like it's been 12 or 20 or lifetimes actually. So
yeah, it does.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being my friend. Oh, she's getting serious now. I like this. I like that look on you.
Do you?
I do.
It's a very, well, now that I'm 43, I can't see shit.
Really?
So I need
we'll have to work on that.
Well, okay. Let's talk about all the things about Am because everyone said, okay, in the real human life of world.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm going to the obvious, just obvious. Mm-hmm. In your world, you're like this. People think let's go back.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you what people think you are.
Ooh,
and
this
then
is
want you to.
I don't know what people think of me.
Okay.
This people think. Okay.
1, you're weird.
Oh.
Okay. 2, you're an alien.
Okay.
3, you're a psychic.
Okay.
4, like you're some white woman that does some woohoo shit.
All of it's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I met you, I was like, okay, here we go. And then I realized your story and I realized what you do and I realized how you do it and I realized where it came from. And then the plane landed. So I want everyone to know your story.
Okay.
And what you do so we can finally dispel all of the things of what's going on. Okay. So let's go back to Let's go back to 1990.
Oh God, when I entered the earth plane.
February 9th, 1990, you were born.
Yes.
Just start there.
Oh gosh. Well, let's skip because I was born. What do you want to know? Do you want to know, like, was I always intuitive? Does it, like, what are specifics?
When you were born, you were special, obviously. I mean, everybody's special. Actually, no one's special, but no one's special. But when did you realize that you had the gift? Was it like when you were like 4? Was it like teenager? Was it past college? Like, what happened?
It's not, well, when you're born with something, you're trying. It's fine. You're doing the most. No, I love it. This is why I love you. It's like the performance piece. So great. Okay, so you don't really know what you are when you're born with things. You just go through life and you just traverse through life like a normal human being. What's normal for me was just always me. It wasn't until like retroactively I looked back and was like, oh, I didn't realize I was sensitive to so many things when I was younger or picked up on things, or I was a natural leader, or even adults looked to me for advice. Like those were my natural gifts, if you want to call it that. So,
and it wasn't like seeing dead people or like I see the future. It wasn't like a psychic thing. You just were.
It was very perceptive.
Intuitive.
Yeah. Intuitive, if you want to call it that. But when I was younger, because I was very just normal. So I would call it just perceptive. Like people would think like, oh, she would have good advice, or, you know, it's that kind of thing. It doesn't manifest as a psychic medium. I'm going to read your future, or I can hear your grandmother speak to me. It's not in that way. I learned how to do that because I already had a propensity for that.
When was this? When did you realize?
Not until my 20s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it was like yesterday.
Yeah, because I'm 33. So yeah, it was yesterday. Yeah.
So yesterday you were like, wow, I have this, what?
No, still, even today, I don't feel like I'm different, which I know. Isn't that weird?
You're not actually, like, knowing you're not different. You just see things differently. But everybody does, right?
Yeah.
And you always say everybody has the gift, and we'll get there in a minute. But like, when was it that you decided this intuitiveness that I have is special, and I'm going to zone in on this and make this like my calling?
Okay. So I always relate it to any skill set. It could be that you have a propensity for, you're really good with numbers. So maybe you become a banker and you're really good at that. I had a propensity for seeing things very clearly. I can pinpoint someone's pain point or someone's insecurity, someone's like what they need. I can pinpoint that. Now it manifested in my early 20s as control patterns because I could see what someone needed from me. I would play that part to make sure they felt safe.
Got it.
So that's a whole nother story. But so when I realized,
we have time.
Okay. We're going to get to that story.
Okay.
So, but yes, it was all of this to say, I think that I just had a propensity for it, went into it, and then started realizing, once I started studying this and realizing that my perception can change someone's mindset and change their health, that's when I wanted to go deeper into that.
Okay, when did that happen?
That, again, was in my early 20s. So
there's a story attached to this. So can you go? I know. Do you not want to do that? Or you want to go?
Yeah.
Oh, what? Was it on the card?
Yeah. This is great. I love watching you do this.
Why do you do what you do today?
I specifically wrote it that way too, to kind of like mess with you.
I know, because my freaking dyslexia is stressed. Why do you do what you do today? I hate her. I hate her. She knows I'm dyslexic.
I just wanted to entertain myself.
But this is not funny. I'm trying to like be serious here. Okay. Ask Am.
Okay.
I'm hosting your show. Okay. Why do you do what you do?
Okay. So I'm so glad you asked that. So everyone's always like, oh, go back to, when you were born, all this stuff. It's really the pivotal point for me was college. So I was pre-med on the fast track to medical school. And I was such an avid learner of science that I wanted to understand all the nuances of the human body. Well, I was experimenting on my own, and I've never told this story before, ever. You don't even know the story.
I feel like I do know the story.
You don't know this story. I've never told this story before.
Why are we? Wow. So there are things that I don't know.
No.
Okay, keep going. Keep going.
I just flared up a lot of things.
Okay.
But yeah, so I was in a nutrition class, and the whole thing was about calories in, calories out. It's very basic nutrition, food pyramid, by the government, all those things where like bread and pasta is like the most recommended thing, and all those things. So I'm thinking, well, I'm going to be vegetarian. I'm going to cut out meat because it's inflammatory. I'm going to cut out milk and dairy because it's inflammatory. I'm going to, all the things you learn, like scholarly, all these experts are telling me X, Y, Z. And I'm such a great student at this time. I'm like, okay, let me, achieve this and accomplish this. So I started cutting out big things that I've always grew up on. And I changed to soy milk. Alternative butters, like I can't believe it's not butter. you can believe it because it doesn't taste like butter.
Like all like artificial stuff.
All processed foods with the calories and nutrients taken out.
Got it.
So that's how I started living. I was pulling out everything and depleting.
You didn't eat meat?
No.
You were like, okay,
cut meat out.
Got it.
Well, that was a whole nother story too, because I was working on human cadavers in my freshman year of college, and the smell of the formaldehyde while looking at meat, it like soured my stomach instantly. So I couldn't eat meat for a few years after that. But I also did it health consciously. I was like, oh, well, meat's inflammatory. Let me cut meat out. So I cut out everything that I grew up on. Fruits and vegetables because it was too much sugar.
That's like crazy.
Yeah.
They still tell you this.
Okay. So I cut everything out.
Yeah.
Then I added in exercise because my major was exercise science and I double minored in neuroscience and psychology. So I wanted that mind-body connection.
So let me guess, you were very unhealthy.
Yes. But I didn't know. I'm thinking, well, I'm at the apex of, scholarly, all this stuff. So I got on my high intellectual horse and all my professors are saying, take out the calories and do this and do that. And, actually, this is not a lie. Peanut M&Ms were recommended as a good workout recovery because it had protein in it. So I'm sitting in this class taking notes, being like, okay, got it. Cutting out all the nutrients, not realizing I'm cutting out all my nutrition. And then I added in exercise. And so I followed the guidelines of the recommended, whatever. Well, which was cardio. So I started running up to 8 miles a day. I was doing 2-a-days where I would go to the gym in the morning, go to the gym at night. Restricting everything, just pulling out everything. And I mean, I would be on the phone with my mom at the time and ordering a veggie burger on lettuce, not the bun, just lettuce and hot sauce. And like, that's what I would have for the day. And then I was more inflamed. I gained 50 pounds.
What?
50. Yes.
You gained 50 pounds.
I gained 50 pounds doing this.
You never told me this.
I've never told you this.
What?
I've never told anyone this. Yeah. So I had painful periods. Painful periods.
This is what they push. This is what they want. Right? And by they.
Oh, science shows, it's physiologically impossible, they say, for the body to gain weight if you're in a calorie deficit. Right. So, which, yes, that works, but the body is so intricate. There's so much more going on with the human body than just calories in, calories out. So I learned this definitely the hard way.
Wow. So
I'm cutting out more and exercising more, thinking that's the problem. Like, why am I gaining weight?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm running up to 8 miles a day.
By the way, how's your life right now? Like outside of this? Like,
not doing? Sleeping. I'm just studying all the time.
Relationships and studying, like everything else. You must be consumed constantly.
No. On the surface, I was totally fine. Inside, I was tortured. I was like a tortured soul.
Which makes so much sense. Fast forward to 2023 of now. Like when we go to lunch, like you're ordering steak at 10 a.m. Like you do not restrict your body from anything. And you're the smallest you've been, but we'll get there in a minute. Going back, you're just like miserable.
So I would be at frat parties and I would be thinking
about
drinking too? Yes. Okay. Yes, of course. I was living the college lifestyle. I didn't have a kitchen in my dorm, so I couldn't cook for myself anyway. So I'm living off of processed foods and 100-calorie pack Oreos and just cutting the calories so much, having a Special K for breakfast. Everything was processed. Everything was the same color. It's like that beige color that and your whole life turns beige. You're like, what? Where is my life?
And your personality, everything.
Oh no, I was the life of the party.
Oh, you were?
Yes, but internally I was tortured.
Okay.
So this is where the control came in.
Okay.
I became so controlling with myself, where it was performance, perfectionism. I would be on the elliptical and I started obsessing. It was almost like OCD. The numbers had to match perfectly, or else if I missed it by a second, I would have to go another 40 minutes until I could get it perfectly. Like all the numbers would line up with the mileage, the calories. I went insane.
That is wild.
Yes.
It's so not like you.
Oh, and there was we'll get there. There was a time restriction on these exercise machines in college, and I would get off and go to the next one, like thinking in my mind like that. Well, that will suffice. So I became so controlling and so obsessive, and it was like intrusive thoughts, like just constantly. This is when I started with very intense dreams and like early prophetic 20s? A little bit. Yeah. This is like 19, 20 years old. Like prophetic dreams. And I was like, okay, I'm going nuts. This is so weird. Like I actually saw Dr. Amberleigh Carter on a sheet, and I saw who my teacher was, and I wasn't in med school, and I was so confused by that dream because I was on the fast track to medical school. So I'm like, I'm so confused. What am I doing?
Yeah.
So that always stayed with me. Like, okay, am I going to so it was a low-key anxiety in me. Like, what am I doing? Because I knew the dream was more than just a dream. I could feel it was almost real.
Like something was telling you something.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, all that to say, I was so miserable. I had the most painful periods ever. I would miss exams because I was in so much pain on the ground. I had cysts on my ovaries. I had bad skin. For me, it was bad skin. I wasn't sleeping, and I was running off of pure adrenaline, just being like, well, this is my life. I'm studying. And I was, acing everything, was performing, but everything was a performance for me. So
that sounds like so many people like now.
Here's where it led to.
Oh God.
This was around my birthday. This was, I think, sophomore year of college. I remember it was my birthday because one of my classmates baked me a funfetti cake. So I ordered and ate an entire Domino's pizza.
Oh, you
binged? A pasta bread bowl, half of that funfetti cake, and I was still hungry. And at that moment, that's the one and only time I've ever binge ate before. And that's when I knew I was sick. Like I was sick. I had a problem.
Yeah.
And so I realized I am depleting and depriving myself all day. I'm not taking in any calories and I'm exercising. That's a stressor on the body. You're killing yourself. Taking in no nutrients, not recovering through sleep or water or all those things. And then on top of that, I was trying to catch up for all the calories that I wasn't taking in. My body is forcing me now to binge to catch up on calories because it can't survive. It's going to die. So I realized when I did that binge eating episode, I realized I'm sick. I need help and I need to figure something out because this is not sustainable. Yeah. So, and I wasn't happy internally. Yeah. I'm like so confused because all these research studies are showing me otherwise. All these experts are telling me otherwise. And that's when I was in that nutrition class. I raised my hand and said, what happens when you're barely eating anything and you gain weight? And she looked at me and said, that's physiologically impossible. The body doesn't work that way. It's calories in, calories out. I took my stuff and I walked out. And I made a decision, a choice in that moment. I'm going to go back to what I used to eat and I'm going to figure this out myself because no expert is going to look me in the eye and tell me that what I'm experiencing is not real.
Right.
No one's going to tell me that.
Right.
Because
you're like,
I know what's happening. Right. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, asking for a friend.
But for that to happen at like early 20s or for you even to recognize that and to make that decision is like super advanced, by the way, because people don't like go that route.
Well, I'm very extreme, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah.
So when I feel that in my bones, I'm not going back on it.
Okay.
So I thought back to, okay, I'm going to push all my like spreadsheets and research studies and all that aside. and figure out, what did I used to eat? Well, like I was thin in high school. I did sports, and I never thought about food in that way. There was no control patterns around it. So I was like, what did I eat? And it was meat and dairy. And that's how I grew up. So I was like, well, I'm going to try that. I went to Trader Joe's instead of Harris Teeter, which we all affectionately called Harry Teets, by the way, in North Carolina.
I like it.
So I went to Trader Joe's. One of my roommates, she was all about Trader Joe's and organic food. I was like, what is this organic stuff? And in my class, I had to debate that there was no difference between organic food and regular food. That was my debate. I had to defend non-organic food as being the same
as organic.
Right. Okay. And the more I researched, the more I realized it wasn't. So I couldn't even defend my own argument. I raised my hand. I'm like, this is bullshit. Actually. Yeah, I'm not doing this.
That's the theme of your life. So I'm not doing this.
Right. I'm like, oh my God, my professors probably have like so many stories. So, so I started eating organic food and eating strawberries. I ate organic strawberries for the first time in so long. And normally when I ate regular strawberries, I'd break out in a sweat, like a cold sweat above my lip.
Sprayed with stuff and all kind of.
And I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I thought I was always allergic to strawberries, but I love them. So I ate them anyway. Yeah. When I ate organic, I didn't have that reaction. And so that was a game changer for me too. So I started eating more, like way more, but fresh foods, meat, all kinds of things. Yeah. And then I lost 15 pounds very quickly to where everyone started a rumor that I had an eating disorder. And the irony is that I definitely had an eating disorder before. Yeah.
So so do you think it was, this is like going into something else and help with plain lands, but because you always say like, if you think then, or you think, because it sounds so simple, right? Like Tamica, just think differently. Yeah. Your mind's powerful. Did you think it, or did you actually think it was like all the foods you were intake? Like, do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm asking? Like, was it your change? Was it your thought pattern that changed? Like, you're like, I've decided to just be.
It's both.
Okay.
But at the time, it's because I believed in it so much, because I was like, this feels good. I was sleeping better. My skin started clearing up.
This goes back to your belief system, which we're not even touching yet.
Yeah.
Because I have to go through all of this. Because we have to go through like the trials of you, like trying to figure out how you got to this point. Because you have a whole truth and belief system of like, you actually, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So you start losing weight. People are like,
by eating more.
You're like, no, I was actually sick before. So now where are you? So you're like,
so I stopped exercising as much too. I stopped doing cardio, completely stopped doing cardio, because I was on a rat wheel with cardio. I had to do cardio or else I would see it show up in my body the next day, which I didn't realize was inflammation. So I was addicted to exercise, because if I didn't, it would show up in my body instantly. So I was like, I'm never going to be able to not exercise. I have to exercise. If I need these extra 5 pounds off of me, I have to keep up with that. If I take 2 days off, that 5 pounds is showing up like very quickly. So I didn't know that was water weight, inflammation. There was so much more going on with me, toxins, all of that I wasn't pushing out properly. And my body was reacting to all the deficit I was in calorically and energetically. So I pulled back on exercise, and then I started lifting weights for 15 minutes, not even like light weights. And I just started dropping the pounds.
Easy.
Yeah. Easy. Feeling so much better. It was like a light bulb went off and a key was unlocked, because I chose it.
Does that key make you try to go into like now food, what that looks like? Like, is that where you went with this?
So interestingly enough, I never blamed the food. I really had to deprogram my mind and look at food differently, because I was taught like, this fruit and vegetable has too much sugar. Like, don't eat a banana, don't eat an apple, like, all those things.
Right.
But yet you can have 100-calorie pack Oreo. So I had to deprogram all of that, just frozen foods, all of the processed things that were the same color, I realized, let me just cut that out because I don't even really like that stuff. It was just, I'd much rather eat the real food. And I had to reprogram my taste buds too, because what was true and fresh and of the earth was like not good at that point because you're so used to the chemicals and all the fake stuff.
Like real food tastes gross.
Yes. So I had to really stick with it and deprogram. I went through that for a few months and then pulled back on exercise, started healing. I started noticing my body, my periods were better, my cysts went away.
Yeah.
Everything started improving. My sleep was better.
Was that the light bulb moment of like, what for you?
Like that was the decision for me to not go to medical school.
Got it.
Because I knew I was going to run into more of the same programming mindset of this is what health is. And I'm looking at America saying we're sicker than ever. What are we missing?
So you had this vision of Dr. Amberleigh Carter, but you're like, I'm not going to medical school now.
Yes.
So is that what happened?
So yeah, I was
trying to figure out like what happened in your mind where you're like, now I'm going to.
Oh, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was terrified. I just knew I couldn't go to medical school.
Okay.
So because I was in my neuroscience class, raised my hand and said, when the body dies.
His hand.
I know. Sorry, I have questions.
Sorry, teachers.
Yeah. If I raise my hand, I'm sure thinking back, my professors are probably like, son of a bitch. Like, not her again.
Yeah, you're that. There's that one.
I'm that kid. Yeah. Yes. So
I love it.
Yeah, I'm like, make it make sense. So raised my hand, was like, okay, if your neurons aren't, firing in your brain dead, all those great things, what's telling the body that it's dead? I'm thinking this is a natural question, and they couldn't answer it. So talked to my professor. She was like, you might not want to go to medical school because you're going to run into the same programming.
Got it.
And you're questioning things that are not part of this paradigm.
Yeah. Right.
So I was questioning consciousness and I didn't have the language for it.
Okay. There you go.
So this started my like evolutionary process. So I graduate college, don't know what I'm going to do. I get a job immediately for corporate wellness and like for an insurance company.
Right.
For oil and gas companies that hire us, whatever. So I'm thinking, great, I'm going to exercise these people and whatever. No, it was all like selling these programs. Rude awakening. So I'm like, oh, so like no one wants to get healthy. Like
no one really wants to get healthy. You want to have the perception that you're healthy.
Yeah.
But nobody really wants to be healthy.
Well, that's what my mindset was at the time.
Okay.
I didn't know that we're failing everyone because no one knows what the hell they're doing.
Right.
No one knows what they're doing when it comes to health.
So funny. I find myself interesting. Like I get you on so many more levels. Like every time I'm with you, I'm like, this is why. This is where I've always been in my head. I just couldn't put a name to it. Because I'm always just do what I do, and I'm like, no one understands why. But this is why. It's because you were that like black sheep that's like, nope, not following the crowd, not standing in line, not going this way, even though everyone's like being pushed that way. Wow.
I'm always going to question everything now. If an expert, especially if an expert tells me, I'm going to not research it. I'm going to feel what I feel first.
So go back to you're working, you have this like corporate job, you're doing all these things and you're still questioning everything. You're like, I don't like this. So where are you there?
So I started blaming the medical industry, which is not fair because I was in that mindset. I was repeating all the things that I was learning. You just keep repeating it if you're not questioning it. And even if you question it, where are you going to go? Like there's no answers really. So I went through a really bad period of like just blaming everything. I just didn't like it. I didn't like all that stuff. And now, I mean, thank God for doctors and the medical industry and all those things. They're really great at what they do. They're just not great at the preventative lifestyle stuff. And we put way too much on doctors.
By the time we get there, it's like they know how to fix it. But how do we get
emergency medicine? They are stellar. Like if I slice my leg open, I'm going to the emergency room. I want the doctors working on me.
But apparently you made that decision yourself, so we'll get that in a second too.
Yeah, but if I want to lose weight, I'm not going to go to a doctor to figure that out.
Right.
So, and it's wrong for us to put so much pressure on them. Like we idolize them in such a way that we're almost looking at them as parents to be like, fix it, help me, save me. And it's not fair to them. Mm-hmm. So there needs to be a void filled. There's a gap in our Western culture right now between how do you go from your lifestyle all the way to you're sick in a hospital bed and now you need someone to pull you out. There's no in between right now. And there's so much with like biohacking and all this stuff. And it's getting more and more controlling in the
that's mental... what you do. That's what you do, this middle part.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm going back. I gotta steer you back. Because we can go 16 ways. You're working. Right. What happens? Like what happened?
So I'm working. I'm in insurance and I'm still want to make an impact on like helping people with their health. Cause I had such a wound there that I'm like, God, if people only knew that if they can release all their mental programming around food and around exercise and like start really getting in tune with their bodies, there can be a change. Cause I've experienced it. I've done it.
Yeah.
And so this is way beyond just like intuitive eating and all that stuff. This is a whole nother ball game. So I'm on the hunt. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll go to Chinese med school, like for Oriental medicine, because that was the opposite, right? Or physical therapy or whatever. I was like, I know I had this vision, wasn't a dream, it was a vision that I saw Dr. Amberleigh Carter. I have no idea where I'm going, but I know I have to go to grad school of some sort. So I was on the hunt. Nothing resonated with me at all. Like I interned everywhere with, I thought I was going to be an osteopathic anesthesiologist.
Nice.
And I interned with him and he sat me down. He's like, do you want a life? And I was like, yes, please. And he's like, don't do this job.
Wow.
But even me sitting in on the surgeries and all those things, I felt so much when they're, doing a breast augmentation and they're ripping the skin and all of that stuff. I'm feeling into it. I'm about to pass out because I'm like, God, it's such a sacred vessel. The human body is so sacred. And they're viewing it as such a machine. And I didn't like that. It's necessary for what they have to do. I understand you have to separate it.
Right.
But for me, that wasn't a match for me because I was feeling into
everything.
And thinking about her recovery process. And I'm like, the more gentle you go, the less recovery she's going to have,
sweet.
Like, I'm like, I just felt for these patients.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is not the room I need to be in. So I wanted to go into the research realm.
Okay.
To find out what makes everything tick. So
I feel like this all happened in how many years? Was this like 6 months?
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Oh no, probably like 3 months.
Stop.
Yeah. Like, oh no, I work very fast. Yeah.
Well, we know, but they don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it sounds like it's been years, and I'm just like, oh no, this is.
But again, I'm very extreme.
It's a lightning. It was probably very fast. Because you're like, no, yes, no.
When
yes.
I know, I know.
Absolutely.
And when I feel it, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
100%.
Like, you're not going to talk me out of it. So, and there's no answer. There's no answer for me. So I'm like, I'm going to.
We know.
Yeah. Actually, this is why we're friends.
You're landing a lot of things for me. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Control, all those things.
Yeah, I'm like, this makes sense. Because like, I don't understand the word no. No's like,
yeah.
What are you talking about?
Right.
If you know something, if you feel something, you're like, why am I feeling this if you're telling me no? I feel like I can get this, or I should understand this, or I can do something else.
Right.
So I'll figure this out. Just take that no and shut up your ass.
Yeah. Just because I have the feeling and the vision and you don't, doesn't mean that it's not possible.
Say it again for the people in the back. Say it again.
Just because I have the feeling and the vision and you don't, doesn't mean that it's not possible.
There you go.
Right.
Okay.
So I started working in the research realm and I was like, I'm back. This is where I belong. Give me my spreadsheets. I was like, you could not arouse me anymore than giving me some papers. No, not anymore. Than giving me a good research study.
Hey.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was like,
now we know your pickup line. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Right. So I was like, this is everything. So, and it was a world-renowned research institute. I again, work very fast. I was initially hired part-time because I wanted to get my foot in the door. And I was...
You don't do anything part-time.
Within a few days, I was promoted to full-time. Right. And then within a couple of weeks of that, I was promoted to... I was the director.
Of course.
In a few weeks.
Of course.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, and I was like... I was doing 2 jobs in one. And so I asked for double the money.
Of course you did.
Yeah, because I was like, logic. Duh.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, they saw... Oh my God. I was 22 at the time, or 23 at the time.
This is wild.
22 or 23. Oh yeah. And they were like, we'll pay for you to get your PhD. We'll pay for all of your schooling. And you're going to run this whole institute and all those things. What I didn't realize was they saw a 22-year-old who's hungry and willing to do anything. They did not see me coming because I am not willing to do anything. It's going to be my way. So that's where everything started. Yeah. So, because I look very like on the surface, like, like fun, warm, inviting, whatever. And I'm like,
a beast.
Do not come for me.
Oh no, you're a beast. A beast. Super smart.
Yeah.
Got it. Can see right through you. Don't play.
Right. So they were looking at this prime individual who they can manipulate. So it wasn't so much like, oh, she's so smart, she's so great. I'm thinking I am at the time, which might be true to an extent, but they're looking at how can we control and manipulate the situation. So, and it started coming out in that way. Like, oh, well, if you show this, or if you do this, or you go to this lunch, or you do that, or, talk to this company, and these, everything is funded. And so I realized when I saw the curtain ripped back, I realized, oh my God, who's funding all of these studies? So I went back, all my notes. I'm like, oh my God. It's supposed to be.
Oh, the papers that turn you on turned you off.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yes.
Girl.
I was like, we're getting a divorce.
Not turned on.
We're broken up. Yeah.
Okay.
So I am not kidding you. I had like a crisis, like an identity crisis, because my whole existence was science and research up until this point.
And you're still so young at 23. I mean, we're speaking older now, but like back then you're like,
so this was like 10 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. So, I was like, my life's over. I'm not going to any kind of schooling after this. Everything's bullshit. What are we doing? Like all the studies that I just relied on so much. And to be clear, this is not every research study.
Yeah.
These are some research studies.
Right.
So it's not that all science sucks or anything like that. It's just you have to really look at who's funding it. Why are they funding it? Yeah. Who's on the board of this? Who's on the board of that? When you really start piecing these things together, it's a whole picture. You're like, you step back and
fakery
realize.
And fuckery.
Yeah, exactly.
I call it fakery and fuckery.
Yeah. So you step back and you look at it and you're like, oh my God. You see the full picture and then you realize I don't belong in this picture. So anyway, I left. Oh, I reported everything to the board first of all because I thought they weren't in on it. I'm being the good girl. Y'all don't know what's going on.
This is a movie. They're all controlling it, and you're like busting control. And they're like, "Do you know what's happening?" And they're like, "We're actually moving the parts."
I'm the marionette, and I'm like, "Snip, snip." Do y'all know it? And they're standing on top of me, like, we're holding it.
Oh, we don't know.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, so close that chapter. I was like,
that's
I don't
why you
belong
always say
anywhere.
Like, that's why you always say when something happens to you, it's not like what's happening. It's like who's actually or what's behind the scenes.
Yeah.
When you made me look at things very differently.
Yeah.
It's so many things to get to with you. You're so layered upon this, and this is why why I love you so much.
It is. Everyone looks at what's playing out on the screen, like in the movie theater. Everyone's watching the movie on the screen. No one's looking at the projection room.
Or who's press and play. Who's direct.
Who are the 2 to 3 individuals up there controlling everything, controlling the way you feel, your reactions, everything. Why are you distracted over here when there's something going on over here?
That's why I call it fakery and fuckery. It's like, that's where that came from. I'm like, all this is...
I made up fakery and fuckery.
Well, no, I feel like I not made up fakery and fuckery.
I did.
Okay. Fakery and fuckery. Anyway, who's playing the projector? Okay, so you're you're done. You've reported all of this to the board. And they don't know what's happening, but they do. And so then now you're 23, you have no job.
Yeah.
And
no prospects.
No prospects. I feel like every, I mean, it's every 20-something year old that's like, what do I do with my life? Where am I going? Yeah. What's happening? We've all been there. So then what happens?
So I started praying and journaling.
Okay.
So I wrote down in a journal because I was losing my friends. I wasn't identifying with all my research friends who were working for research companies at the time and all. So I'm like, well, to be fair, now.
You sound and look crazy.
Yes.
To everyone. So that's why you're losing friends, because you probably look like this crazy woman that's like, Mah! And you're also focusing on something, hyper focused on something. So you're just not putting yourself into or putting into relationships and stuff. So that's why everything is like falling apart.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm totally alone. So I need to lean into my faith really hard. So I abandoned my spreadsheets and science and went back to my religion and my faith, which is Catholicism. And so I started just writing down in a journal format, like, dear God, literally, and just writing everything out, getting everything out. And then I wrote down, I started getting really good at answering my own questions. And so I was like, what is truth? What is truth? What is truth? Like, what is true? What is real? I was in such a crisis mode, and I heard or felt whatever that God voice is inside of you say, truth is relative. That was a game changer for me.
Okay.
So
now when you got that sign, did you you knew immediately what that meant? You were like,
yes.
Okay.
Truth is relative. Anything can be true to anyone at any moment, and that can change tomorrow. There's not one truth. That's what my mindset has always been. Like, somebody knows the truth. It was like everyone
truth
knew the
and
secret.
Facts are totally two different things.
Right.
They're facts, and then they're truths.
Right.
Right.
So that's a good point. Yes. So I was thinking that everyone was kind of in on this secret and everyone knew the truth. And I was on the outskirts searching for it and I couldn't find it. And I'm like, why do I feel like I just don't know what the truth is? And everyone seems to be okay. Like, I don't understand this. It was like an internal, I was insatiable. There was like a yearning there, like a longing for an answer. And I didn't know where it was, but I knew it was going to be totally different. My life was going to be totally different from what I ever thought or what any regular human being is doing. I knew in that moment, I was like, I have a completely different path.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what do you do with that?
So I started, actually, I went back to my high school friends and I started hanging out with them again, reconnecting, because people started moving back home and talking one thing after another. And I was like, I really want to do a medical fitness center, where it's medicine. I started getting certifications, being an exercise physiologist and all these things, certified in stuff, but didn't know how I was going to produce anything. Right. But I wanted to own my own company. So I was talking to one of my guy friends at the time, and he was like, oh, I work for this guy. You should look up the Czech Institute and all this stuff. So I started getting certifications in those things. It's corrective holistic exercise kinesiology, and became an exercise coach. And I started, you had to go fly. I flew to Fort Lauderdale to, get my certification. And I was meeting new individuals who had a whole different mindset and introduced me to self-funded research, which was a game changer for me. So I realized there are individuals and scientists who want to fund their own studies to really look at true science. When I looked up these studies, those results were totally different from the big conglomerates that were. So that's when I started studying cellular nutrition, like how the cells in your body operate most optimally through nutrients, different things like that. So then I opened my own practice and I'm like, I'm going to do exercise consultations. I worked at a boutique and my boss at the time was like, I was studying because we weren't busy.
Right.
And she's like, what are you studying? And I'm like, oh, telling her about it. She's like, can I be your client? And I I went home that night and opened my LLC.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. I did, because fast. So I was like, sure. So she was my first client. And then I got an office, and I got an office in a...
And client was just supposed to be for like health stuff. It wasn't
like... She wanted to learn about like all the exercise stuff. She wanted to lose weight. That was her goal.
Okay.
So I was like, great, I got this, because like I've done it before. I know how to do it. So that's easy peasy for me. So she was paying me to consult with her. So I opened like a consultation business, and I get an office in an office space with a psychic medium.
Mm.
So here we go, everyone.
Everyone, this is the part of the podcast where you grab a glass,
grab a drink,
and grab a cocktail. Shit's about to go. Wow, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is where...
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is where we go to another plan.
Yeah. So
this is always fun.
Yeah. So I start having, a lot of clients coming in for consultations, exercise prescriptions. We talk about food. They go home. Okay. Well, I start getting clients who have pretty serious cases. Extreme migraines, back pain they can't get rid of, all these things, whatever. And before they would come in, I would feel it in my body. I'd get a headache, my low back, whatever would start before they even enter the building. And I'm like, something's not right here. So meanwhile, my diet...
And I know this is true because being friends with you, this happens to us.
Mm-hmm.
You will call me, this is a fact.
Right.
She feels into everything. If you're close to somebody, you feel into it. So that's like, I completely know.
Right.
Like, she's like, why am I getting cramps? And then I'm like, oh, then my period starts the next day. But you would get them. Or vice versa now since we're like really close. But yeah, no, these are facts. I believe this.
Yeah. We're sharing electrons.
Okay.
It's called quantum entanglement.
Okay.
Is what
we are.
Nope.
We're not getting there yet.
Okay.
We're not there yet. Because we're not there yet. People don't take them on a slow train. To Louisiana. Come on.
Yeah. So stay on the track. So yeah, all my clients were coming in. I would feel everything before they'd come. And then when they leave, everything would disappear. And they're like, I don't have my back pain. I've had this for 20 years. I don't have my migraines anymore. All these things. I'm like, great. I'm like dead on the couch. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, transfer, return to sender. So anyway, after one client, I'd be flat out on the couch recovering for like 2 to 3 hours. I'm like, this is not sustainable.
So did you like realize in that moment that like that's what was happening? Like, did you like, or were you conscious of like all of their shit is on me?
I didn't know that was possible.
Or okay, so you're just like, no, you're noticing it, but you're not.
Yes, I'm not thinking that that's real because
right.
I'm like,
you're like, surely it's not real. Like I'm just taking on a lot. Like.
Yeah, I just didn't. I was thinking I'm feeling these things. I'm like, that's so weird that you're complaining about back pain. My back hurts.
It started 10 minutes before you walked in.
I am a slow learner sometimes.
All right.
But no.
Well, because that's I mean,
it was my belief system.
Okay.
That was the problem because my belief was that that's not possible.
Right.
My belief is science, research, my body separate from your body, all those things. Newtonian physics, Newton's laws, the 3 basic laws,
Thank you. Talk it all out.
That's where my mindset is that we all like 8th grade science. We're like, that's how things move and work and everything's solid and like whatever. Yeah. It's totally wrong. So it's not wrong. It's just like a very surface piece to the puzzle. Yeah, my belief was like, that's not possible. So I didn't even consider that something's going on. So but I'm still like praying and journaling and whatever. And I started with out of body experiences, which I didn't even believe in either, but I heard about it probably a few months before it came into my world. And I was like, what is that?
So did you think you were weird at any part of this? Like, were you like, ooh, like I thought this is me. What, you know what I mean? Like what were you?
When I started with the out of body experiences, I was like, this is a little too far for me because I feel like who can I tell about this? No one's going to believe you. Or if they do, they're like, okay, like I believe you because you're my friend, but like, bitch is crazy, like.
Well, no, that's what I thought until I saw it. So there you go.
Right.
Yeah. When you told me all this, Y'all don't understand. Everything she's saying, I am backing it up with my truth.
That says a lot.
All these things, because when you told me, I was like, okay. Right. I'm, human. And I was like, okay, this is cute.
Oh, yeah. And I never believed in any of this either.
Went traveling together. And I look over, I'm like, she's not here. This bitch is gone. She gone. Y'all, where is she at? Okay. So anyway.
Also, to clarify, I was physically in the bed.
But you're
not moving.
Okay, yeah. Keep going. No, you were physically in the bed, but you
can feel it. I was feel a difference. You're like, no one's there. No one's home.
No one's home.
Yeah.
No one's home.
It's just a body.
So I think this is called an outer body experience that you're okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I started with that and I was like, I should probably seek counsel on this.
Got it.
I told my parents because that's what you do when you're scared. And thankfully they didn't judge me, but my mom was like, maybe you should go talk to someone who can relate to this. And so I'm like, let me think of the craziest person on the planet. So one of my friends introduced me to what my best friend today, Giselle, one of my best friends. So she was an engineer at the time. So I wanted someone who had the science background and wasn't just like reading palms in the middle of the French Quarter in Jackson Square.
No shade, but they do what they do.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I wanted someone who knows the spreadsheets and the scientific research. So I got in touch with her. She got me in touch with other people. And I had a session with someone named Wendy Kennedy, and she's a channeler. Yeah. So she shed some light on it, and still to this day, I have them every now and then. I was having them every single night. It was like torture. And so I won't get into the science of it, but there is a science to back up what I'm experiencing.
Okay.
So that made me feel better.
Okay.
Because when I knew there was science that could be applied to all of the woo-woo, that's when I started hitting the ground running. Because I was like, I understand science. Like, talk to me in science all day long. I don't understand when you say, oh, yeah, I'm a psychic or a medium. I'm like, no, you're not. That you have a mental disorder. That's at the time, that's a very strong statement. But at the time, that was my belief because I was just science. So I'm like, well, maybe there is a science to psychic ability and all these things and why I'm getting the pain in my body when someone's coming in.
Now, do you believe that everyone has this ability?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why, because it's not like, you're the special chosen person. Everyone has this intuitiveness to, and the word is psychic, but you know what I mean? Like to be mindful and to change your belief system. All those things.
I always say like everyone can speak Spanish. It's just if you lived in Colombia for years or you train on how to speak Spanish or whatever, that's going to be completely different from someone who's never heard of Spanish in their life. So there's different shades of it, but you can do this if you want to. Everyone's capable, but do you have a propensity for it? Maybe not. Maybe you're not so good at Spanish. Maybe you want to go do something else. So other people might just not resonate with it at all and be like, oh, I would never do that. That's fine. But everyone, yes, is capable of doing that.
No, I feel that.
Yeah.
Every time I'm around you, things just start, I will get ideas or things from people if I'm closer to you. So I can understand that. Right. Also, like what you say about like believing in all of this, like you don't understand how text messages sent, or you don't understand how the microwave will work. But people are like, so how do you do this? Like, how do you, like, what are you doing?
Well, I think people have an issue because of religious beliefs. And we've been so programmed that like human beings are not supposed to have power really. And people equate this to power. And it's not really, it's just like having a sense of smell. Like if no one else had a sense of smell and you did, people would be like, oh my God, she's, a witch, or she, has this ability that I don't have. It's not really that weird. It's just that your senses are heightened in a certain way, and that's okay. You don't have to believe in it. You don't have to believe in a text message or a technology for it to exist or work. Like you don't have to believe in your TV for you to press the button and it turns on. It's like, I don't have to believe in what I do. I'm just, I read your thought. Great. Cool. It's what I do.
Right.
Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, I smelled your perfume.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like, it's as natural as that for someone who is trained in it or knows how to perceive with those subtle nuances. It's very subtle. So some people have it as loudly as it being very strong, where they're actually hearing voices and things like that, or it could be a thought that pops in your head. There's just different nuances to it, and it changes on any given day.
Yeah. So for a while you did, so then you started to do sessions. Is this where this all came about? Like, you transitioned into like the exercise part of it to now you're healing people?
Yes.
Okay.
So I never really like heal people at all. Like, healers get weirded out by that, because healing, if I say, oh, I healed that person, it's giving me power, and that's not really the case. But
you do believe that you do it yourself. Like, if I had a session with you about my headache and it's gone, it's not you, it's actually me.
Exactly.
Okay.
So like, if I get a massage, I'm like, oh, you healed me. It's like, yeah, they gave me the massage, but like, my body did the work to flush out the toxins and do all those things. You know what I mean? So yes, I'm holding the space. I'm volleying it up, and you're spiking it over the net. So
got that.
Yes. Volleyball reference, everyone.
Got that.
Yes. So it's a team effort.
Okay.
And it can be as simple as like a really good friend offering you really good advice that changes your life. That can be very healing. It could be healing having a cocktail with your best friend. Some of those nights are the most healing nights for people. It's not about the alcohol. It's not about the thing. We've like gone down so into the crevices of everything, and it's like you're missing the forest for the trees.
Right.
You're not. The bigger picture is like letting go and releasing and relaxing and loving yourself and being with your best friend and just being in the moment.
Maybe that's why I haven't had a session with you. I've never had a session with her. I've never in 4 years had a session with her. I'm terrified, to be honest, because she scares me a little bit on that level. But yet you've healed me in so many ways from being my friend for 4 years, having our trips, having our long lunches, having our champagne and fries. Like we've done the work without having a session. So I've had probably 20, I guess, if you would say, but I haven't had like a sit down,
right?
Which is a whole other thing. But I want to get back to like, so you became Dr. Amberleigh Carter and had like, this is where we are now. Like you're like, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing sessions.
Well,
you've done the work, you've done the work, you've studied, and I know all the things that you've done, and you can talk about it. But like, how did you get to where you have your like practice of what you're doing with your sessions? Yes.
Yeah. So when I was doing those exercise prescriptions and everyone was coming in, everyone who came in started crying almost immediately, and we would never get to the exercise, and we never even really talk about food. So I was confused because I'm like, what is happening? These people are coming in, sitting down, venting to me, crying about how their mom called them fat when they were 7.
But that all has to go back to everything.
Yeah. So I was like, am I doing therapy? Like, what is happening? So at this point, I was like, oh my God, if I can... And when I was writing the exercise prescriptions, these are intelligent people. They could not do it. They couldn't land the plane. They couldn't implement the exercise program. They might do it for a little bit and then fall off the wagon, whatever. And I'm like, there's a mental block. I was like, there's got to be something going on. Like, why are you not just exercising? Like, why are you not motivated to do it? Or there were so many mental complications with everyone. And so that's when I was like, oh my God, if I can get to that, I can jump over this blockade that they have and they can get the results that. That's what motivated me to get into energy work. Because I was like, there's something, I kept journaling about it. I was like, there's something out there that catapults people forward. I kept writing that phrase. I'm like, there's something that catapults people. And that's what I want. I didn't know what it was. I was like, I know there's something out there. And I was like calling it in.
Now this is making sense. You're talking normal to me. See?
Oh.
Yeah. Because that is the ultimate question is, what do you do? And that's what you do.
Yeah. I expedite the whole process for you. So if you're struggling with blocks or you need clarity, I give you that clarity. Now, I ripped the Band-Aid off.
I literally was about to say, hold up, soul up. Because if you're like, oh, my marriage or my kids, or I can't seem to make money.
Or if you don't want me to see something, it lights up like a Christmas tree for me.
We've been there last week. Thanks. She's like, so there's something going on and you're going to tell me. And I'm like,
as soon as you try to hide something from me, it lights up like a Christmas tree. I'm like,
try being friends with her. This is real fun, guys. So no, but that's the thing is like when, when you're like, my kids, I'm having trouble with this, or my relationship with my mom or my family or my marriage or friendships, or I can't remember how I was like, when I was at WG, the last 4 months of there, I had gained like 15 pounds and I was like, haven't changed my food, haven't changed. I was just like, and you're like, well, you're not seeing the big picture. And so you broke it all down. The minute I left, 2 weeks later, I mean, it was just like butter, just melting up. I didn't change anything.
Nope.
So that's what you do.
Yeah.
You literally take its energy, but you take, I'm trying to make it all human sense.
Yeah.
Because you talk in, science and nerd. And I'm like, trying to make sense.
That's an accusation. Yes.
With love.
Charges.
You're the prettiest nerd I've ever met.
Thank you.
Okay. You're the hottest nerd I've ever met. She's so fun. But my point is you really go into the blockages and the energy of what is happening, which you've been doing your entire life. This is my whole point of leading to this point.
From 1990. Yes.
Is this belief that you have to go back and you open those doors. Because some people, people just can't see who's pressing play. And it's really them.
Exactly.
But we have to go back. And that's what you do.
That's a beautiful way of putting it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. No, say it again for the people in the back.
I don't know what I said. So you have to go back and rewind.
You said, we think someone else is pressing play or something. Yeah, and
rewind.
You are. I didn't say it as good as you did.
Rewind.
But yes, rewind, everyone. But no, you were always pressing play. That's true.
Okay. So now that I am totally dyslexic and
that's fun.
This is where I'm at. I wrote everything upside down.
That's why we're friends.
Wait, what did I write?
Oh God, this is gonna be good.
Okay. So did you understand that majority of the people did not understand what you do? Like, did you understand that? Or did you think that everybody had you figured out? Because your following has you figured out.
Yeah.
The rest of the world is not. Were you aware of this?
My following has me figured out because I've podcasted for years about it.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah. Like new people have no clue what I do.
Right.
If they say, what do you do? And I say, oh, I'm a doctor of metaphysics and an alternative medical practitioner. They're like,
right.
What?
Sorry.
Yeah. Right.
No, it doesn't make sense.
No. And I can't put up like a billboard like attorneys can or whatever. So, you know what I mean? Like, come see the doctor of metaphysics. Like, okay, is that a circus or like what's going on? So yes, a doctor of metaphysics and an alternative medical practitioner. So after I had all these clients come in and I was like, what catapults people forward? That's when I started learning about energy work. And it started with me going to a Reiki healer and having that experience and feeling it. And she was psychic and told me things that I've never told anyone. And I was like, this is real. I've had an experience. This is real. How do I apply a science to what I just experienced? Because no one, either people believe in it or they don't believe in it, but no one's explaining how it works. No one's explaining it. And so that's what I wanted to get to. How can I explain this in layman's terms to the masses that, first of all, you have this ability yourself. Secondly, there's a science to it. This is real. This isn't, you can't argue with me about it because it's black and white. It's real. So if you can get to that part of it, and I can, if you're not interested in the science, it doesn't matter. I can explain it to you or utilize it as a tool. And if you have a session with me, you can experience it. And you probably won't even be able to explain it to your loved ones or your friends. It's just like, you just got to go see her because it's a...
Right. That's right. Right.
It's an experience.
I'm like, I can't even... Right.
And the success of your session with me is in your vulnerability. So if you're willing to be vulnerable about...
You have a way of doing that. Like I told you, our second time we met, our second date, so to speak. I was like going in. I was like, I was like, why I feel so open with you? I feel like you're gonna. I don't know. It's weird because I don't tell anybody everything. Well, I'm open book, but that's what I tell people. But you know all the things. Yeah. Do you still do sessions now?
I do.
Okay.
Yes, I still do. I haven't opened up to new clients in a while, but I am gonna start doing that again.
Okay. I like that because I think you were like,
I know. I was. Well, it was I was trying to create this, and it's hard to create when you're running a full-time practice. So I needed to pull back for a little bit, but now I'm ready to.
Okay.
Once I have this down.
But you got it. I think you can have it locked down. So,
yeah.
But I love how, like, further podcasts, it could be them. It's the whole thing of someone asking you all the things and you just landing the plane. Right. Instead of just like an interview process. Anyway.
Well, yeah.
My other question is, and it's on my card.
Yes.
How do you deal with relationships? How do you deal with relationships? Since you know all the things and you can see all the things.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, how do you, two parts. Someone coming into, I didn't know you from anything. So I didn't know that I was going to get like hoodwinked. You know what I mean? I didn't know, like, I didn't get it. I didn't know, but like, do people, relationships, men, friendships, anybody, two-part, if they know, how do you know that they know? So you know when they're coming? And also, how do you do relationships in terms of like the sustainability? Like, we are still friends for 4 years after, and it's that can get difficult, you doing and knowing what you know. How does this work? Like, how does
it takes a very strong individual to be in my field. I do know that. So kudos to you, by the way.
Well, I like to play. This is fun for me. I'm like, let's play. Beat the pastor. Yeah. What will you come up with today? I like still like getting beat up and keep coming back. Maybe that's my trauma. I don't know.
Do you view it as me beating you up? Poor baby.
Sometimes.
I'm sorry.
No, but it's like needed. I need to be beat up sometimes. No, because I think I know all the things, and like sometimes I don't. Or you make me see things that I just don't see, or it makes sense. It connects. Like, it's all, you've landed so much for me. You've opened up so much. When I met her, I'm not shitting you. I met her a month later. My life blew up.
That is true. It did.
Blew up.
Yeah.
I lost my mother-in-law. I lost my house. I lost my job. My car. People don't understand the whole story. This is, and then COVID happened within like months of that. So pretty tough.
Yep.
But I will say it all blew up for all the right reasons. And I'm not losing my mother-in-law, not losing all those things like that. Everything made sense of why it all happened. And I had to piece it back together. So what I'm saying is, like, I'm really interested to know. I mean, I know the answer. I want everybody else to know, like, how do you deal with relationships? Like, how do you deal with relationships? Like, how do you deal with like dating and like friendships and stuff? Like, how is that for you?
Well, as you know,
well, I already know, but they don't know.
I have a very small sphere, so I've let in very few to my world, partly to protect them as well, but because it is to an average everyday person who wants to keep and maintain a like status quo in life, it is someone who's not ready for a roller coaster situation, like right out the gate.
Like, are you telling people that you like, are people on like your first date or when you meet a friend, do you tell them this?
I mean, I tell them what I do, but I don't really like to get into it because I want to have like I want normalcy, you know? So, but anyone who is attracted to me in general is going to really be signing up for something. And it's going to take a strong person. It takes a strong individual to withstand something. It's fun to like ebb and flow. I have a lot of people coming in and out of my life, and I love that. It's great. But to actually withstand something and be able to hold the space for me and handle it, that's another story.
Okay. Just, people.
But no, I mean, yeah. I think humans are fascinating.
You do.
Yeah.
We think you're fascinating.
Okay.
You alien being. So what's your goal? Like, what's your ultimate goal in like life, in this situation of humans?
I think my ultimate goal is to water down the science of something that is so reachable for people, and they're missing it because no one is talking about it or telling them or has an understanding of how to make it relatable and applicable. Like, no one's taking this high level science of quantum physics and funneling it down into how do you make that choice at the grocery store for your children who are in school, or to optimize their performance in soccer, or how to regulate your hormones as a female, or how to help, maybe you're a guy and you want to make a career shift. Go ahead.
Even that, another side note, just from my experience. Remember I said, what do I want to do with my career? Where am I going? Where am I going? And you literally, her answer to me was, she goes, just start walking tomorrow. And I was like, I need to figure out what I want to do in my job. Like, you're not answering my question.
It feels so.
I was like, yeah. What do you? She goes, just start walking tomorrow, Tamica.
Yep.
I'm not shitting you. I walk every day, and I'm pissed because I'm mad at her. I don't want to talk to her because I'm like, she has me walking like an idiot every day. 6 weeks later, boom, everything changed.
Yep.
But what I was doing, and that does,
you're like, moving energy.
That was what I was doing.
Yeah. You're releasing your blocks. There's so much more.
And it looks different for everybody else. Not everybody's gonna take a walk.
For everyone.
Right. Sometimes you're like, eat carrots.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah.
And you're like that, and it will change your like money pattern. Like you just know what they need.
I can see connections. So I'm very good at going very, very deep to the root and going very, very, very high level for things and pushing it into the middle lane where everyone can have a slice of the pie. That's what I do.
Does it come to you in the moment what they need? Like, are you getting those, like, that feeling of like, that's what she needs? Tamica needs to take a walk. Like, I don't know why I'm saying it, but take a walk.
Everyone is individual. Yes.
Okay.
So I wish it was just like, okay,
like
here's
you have
the
a formula.
protocol.
Yeah.
But I think that's why our health system has failed us, is because it is based on that, where it's like one size fits all, or like the majority of people, the average or the median, it's like there's so many nuances to it. It's like, if you're like, milk is good for you, this study shows that milk is good. Well, if you're lactose intolerant, you can't take it. So like everyone is so individualistic. You can't do a one size fits all of like, this is great, this study shows this is great. For those people, there's always going to be an outlier. There's always going to be an individual who can't handle it. That's okay. We're allowed to do that. But if you're saying like, this protocol is going to work, it's immediately not going to work. Like there's
so it's all individual.
Very individualistic.
And I also love how you're like, don't deprive yourself of anything, whether it be food or whatever you're thinking, whatever you're feeling. It's a reason why. Just, you have to do it, and you'll figure it out. Not in those terms, but yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any last words you want to? I feel like there's so much more. I can keep going. So I'm gonna go. I have one question, and we're gonna go
ahead
to a space you probably don't want to go, but we're going there.
That's okay.
Someone had a question. It says, this is from a guy.
Okay.
Does sexual health and mental health have more to do with each other than initially thought?
Yes, for sure.
Go.
Definitely. That is a good question, though. So, yeah, it depends on the person, too. But yes, mental health and sexual health are one and the same, especially for women. Men, too, but especially for women. Sex can be very mental. Obviously there's hormones that come into play with all of it, but yeah, I think I would need to know more about the specifics of what he really wants to know about. But as far as mental health and sexual health being more than what people think, like the connection there, yes, absolutely. You can get so far in your head to where it shuts down everything. You want to be grounded and in your body and relaxed and let go of all that mental chatter to be in your body and enjoy pleasure.
Sometimes,
yeah. It's so hard. And you have to, for some people, you have to trust the individual with your life. For some individuals, for you to actually like really get the pleasure that you're looking for. So there's a lot that goes into it.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Good question. Thanks,
That
guy.
is a good question. Yeah.
So getting into, you've lost your mother probably like a year ago.
Yeah.
This year. And I know it's a hard subject to talk about, but in what you do and what has happened and the years leading up to all that was, I know it was hard for you. I think you've kind of struggled with like, just being candid. Like, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? What's happening? Because you're saying all of these things. And then some people will be like, well, how do you feel about that around death and your mom's like illness and what happened? And if you want to go there and explain what happened and your whole journey towards like I guess because it was a hard struggle for you to
for sure
get there.
Yeah, for sure.
With what you do, because you felt like you could fix everything.
Yes. I mean, you do feel like, okay, if you have an understanding, a scientific understanding of the fundamentals of what creates reality, of course I felt like I was going to fix it or save her or all those things, but I'm not God. So every single person, every soul has their own journey and lessons, and I can't rob her of that. I can't rob any individual of that, no matter how much I want to. It's like if you're a parent to a child, and I'm only using that analogy because a parent tends to know more than the child in a certain regard, and you see your child struggling in a way where you're like, oh, I could just fix it. But you can't really intervene. You can to an extent, but sometimes when you intervene so much, you
can help, but you can't fix.
Exactly. You can offer assistance, you can offer guidance, but you can't live it for them. You can't change it. You can't prevent it. You can't, like, there's a very delicate line to dance when it comes to individual freedom and sovereignty. Every single person has the freedom to choose. Now, if they're blocked with things, of course you want to help them, and I did as far as I could take it. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff that individuals go through, especially my mom's generation. Their generation, our parents, didn't know how to talk to anyone. And so, and combine that with her trauma or their trauma, which they had a lot of difficult roads. So knowing what my mom has experienced in her lifetime, I couldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. That was a deep dive, individualistic experience of needing to work through that. And that generation does not really have the tools for that. There's a gap there. And so no matter how much I could try to, dig at those things, it's just, there's something there that they have a different chemical makeup, a different matrix, a different structure. And I love that generation because my God, they're so grounded and no business. And I mean, they're just amazing, an amazing generation of people, the most resilient I've ever seen.
Do you think like illness has a lot to do with like their generational trauma of like how they grew up, like all that comes out as they get older, whether it be, my mom has MS,
exactly.
So it's like, it's a nerve disease. I'm always like, I literally always say something. I'm like, my mom does not have MS because she's had it since 1989.
Right.
Like, I mean, you're still rocking and rolling. It has to be something else.
Right.
Like, you're diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, but you really don't have it, do you? Like, that's me.
Right.
But I'm like, because she's holding on to so much. That's do you feel like that's what's happening? Like, I mean, in like medical terms, yes, you do. But like, are you like, there's more?
Yeah. There's so much more. It manifests completely differently for different people. So say that you have take any trauma. It could be any type of trauma. One individual is going to manifest it in a health aspect that's completely different. It could be the same exact trauma, but it's going to be different for two different individuals based on their genetic profile, what their propensities are. Maybe they have a kidney weakness. Maybe they have a brain weakness, soft tissues. Maybe they're allergic to phospholipids. There's so many nuances. Maybe they can't absorb B12 correctly without lithium, and they don't know
like
that.
The genetic makeup. That's crazy.
Yes.
You're not talking about like just like your life change, your life plan. Like,
no. Right. So you
chose TV because you want to be seen.
Yeah.
You're
exactly. Like, this is like hardcore science.
Okay.
So there are genes that there's epigenetics, and then there's your hardcore genetics. Okay. So your genetics you can't change.
Got it.
That's your hardware. Your software.
Is that like nature versus nurture? Is that like?
Yes. Yeah. So like you're born with your hardware that you can't change. You are you also born with epigenetics, which is your software. Depending on which software you plug in and out, it changes the program. So your epigenetics, you can turn on and off the expression of a gene. So just because you have a gene doesn't mean you will express that in this lifetime. If you have a trauma, it gets turned on. So something you haven't dealt with that's dormant. Now your dad dies and your mom comes down with MS. Well, there's definitely a connection there. Yes, the mental, emotional, all that stuff. If we work with that, because the core of all of your health is rooted in your beliefs. It sounds so silly. It sounds so simple. But your belief is the combination of a thought and your emotion. It creates like electromagnetism, the 0-point energy field in quantum physics for people who know science. Where anything...
Go back a sentence. Go back a sentence. Okay. You're doing it. You're doing it again.
I can't. I'm like tweaking out.
Yeah, I'm like...
Okay. Go ahead.
The definition of quantum physics.
Just look it up.
Go ahead.
No. Okay, so to go back. Yes. There are very genetic, scientific reasons. You can say, oh, well, she's not absorbing enough B12. She has too many toxins in her body. Maybe she has heavy metal overload, and so she has lesions in her brain. I'm saying maybe, I'm hearing this. But she has lesions in her brain from heavy metal toxicity. And so if she has a gene where she can't unlock or detox those heavy metals from her liver. I do see that on her liver.
She's just talking about my mother right now, by the way.
Yes.
Okay, you're reading her. Okay.
Yeah. She's allowing me to. She's giving me, your mom would sign up for this. So, so yes, there's part of her liver that's not fully accessing all of her detox pathways. And so she can't excrete the heavy metals properly. So they're stored in her brain. So it's causing lesions. And so that manifests as
You never
MS.
told me this ever. This is all just now, just all happened. But this is what you do.
Right.
Okay.
So that's the story behind it scientifically. Environmentally, emotionally.
Got it.
If there's movement there with her belief, her body will catch up to it. Your body is a mirror. It's a physical manifestation of your beliefs. If you change your belief, you change your body.
1,000%. 1,000. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
But I've learned that from you. I did not believe that before.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that before. I didn't know how everything was wired and worked.
Well, so just to nerd out, can you please for like 5 seconds? Okay. So my doctoral dissertation was on torsion field physics.
Right.
So it's in very watered down terms. It's the physicality of a thought, showing that thoughts, emotions, intangible things that are beyond the 5 main senses of perception, the things you can't see, taste, touch, smell, all of that. That has a physicality to it when you get down to the quantum level, which means the very smallest unit of physical reality. When you get down to that, you see that there's sound there because there's vibration. And so everything physical is actually not physical on a quantum level. There's movement there.
Okay.
Which is great because if you know how the principles of sound work.
Yes.
Then if you can change a symphony, you can change your body.
Got it.
Thoughts are waves of energy.
Got it.
Right? So if you change your thought,
you change.
Emotions are waves of energy. If you change your emotions, you change the belief, which is the 0-point energy field, the combination of the thought and it's the mind and the heart. You combine the two into the 0-point energy field, which means anything can be created. So if you change your belief, you can change physically what's going on in the body.
Mm-hmm.
There's a science to it. That's why it's so amazing, because this is a science. It's not just like, it looks like witchcraft and voodoo, and we play on that because it's funny.
What I was going to say. That's what people think you do, and that's what people think you are. So at the end of the day, they're like, what?
Right.
And I'm like, just take a listen.
Right.
Because you're extremely backed in science, and you're so intuitive. How do you deal with yourself?
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of maintenance.
I know, because we are best friends, and
right.
I get the calls daily, and I love hanging around you. It's because somebody who thinks to this level, how do you, and that's kind of where I want to wrap it up. Like, how do you zone in your own mind, Am?
Mm-hmm. We want to go there?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do have a tendency to be in my head, clearly. So I've had to do, this is a daily practice for me, grounding, and you've helped me a lot with this.
I was going to say that right answer is Tamica Lee. I don't know where you were going with this. I was like, you need to have
to wrap it up and make it about me.
So we started with making it about me. We're going to end with no, I'm kidding. No,
it's true.
No.
You have helped me so much too. Keep going. You have helped me so much, seriously, because you are so grounding in a lot of ways.
No one thinks I am.
No,
by the way, which is hilarious. I love when people don't think I am. It's fun.
I know. Well, yeah, people have no idea what to even do with any of it. But yes, I have to ground constantly. I want to enjoy Earth as a human being, like a regular human being. I have to get out of my head. I have to work on getting out of my head.
Right.
And so because I know beliefs create everything, I have to unplug and unwind, or travel, or go someplace, or be in a physical environment that's going to hold the space. And when I say hold the space, for people who don't know that, it's embodying a frequency, an energy, a feeling that you get when you walk into a hotel lobby. You get an overall feeling. That's a frequency.
Smell, the whole, yeah.
Exactly. It's a vibe, right? So you walk in, if that's a touchstone for you, where you're like, oh, all of a sudden I feel this way, that's pulling in your emotion, which your emotions are like gasoline on the fire when you're trying to create something new in your life. So when you walk into a place, it's very valuable to be there and experience that new frequency, to expose you to a new belief. So then you have thoughts coming in, then you have experiences there, then it gets more physicalized.
So for the last 3 years, you've been like vacation vibes. Where are you? Are you still in vacation vibes, or have you changed your whole vibe perception?
No, I value vacation because I say vacation. It's not ever about the vacation.
Right.
It's because you leave all of your beliefs at home, right? Your diet. You're not on your diet on vacation. You're drinking at 11 a.m.
Isn't that funny how you go on vacation, eat twice as much, drink twice as much, come back and like lose weight because you just like had the best time.
Exactly. So you're totally in the moment. You are just being free. You're being childlike. You're being playful. All of that stuff is so healthy. It's so healing.
Are you still on that vacation vibe, or you still have another vibe? Like where are you? Are you still on vacation vibe?
It's not like you're on a vacation vibe or you're not. It's, for me, that's not how I view it.
Okay.
I view it as, I value vacation as a healing tool. It's just one tool in my arsenal. So if I need to shake it up or change it up or move my energy, I need to move places, because places, states, cities, all of those things embody totally new frequencies. So if I'm too in my head, I need to get out and go somewhere. That's why I like living in multiple places. Because
people are like, where does she live? She lives in Miami. She lives in Austin. She lives in Palm Springs. She lives in, I'm like, calm down. Because you're all over the place.
Yes, I have to keep moving.
But that's why you, quote unquote, might seem all over the place and no one knows what you do. Because you haven't really landed what you do and where you live.
Right.
But you need all of this to stay sane.
Yeah, but I can also be at home. I also love being at home, being in sweatpants, watching a good movie, making popcorn. Like I love like nestling in too.
Yeah, you do.
I definitely like that. So
you actually prefer that.
I do. Yeah. I force myself to go in different areas to keep mixing it up and moving.
To be social. I know.
Yes, it's a struggle. The social life is a struggle for me, but I've gotten a lot better.
She has gotten a lot better, but it's not because she like hates people and she can't do people. No, it's not that. It's just she sees
it's a lot.
So much so, like if I'm like, because I like being, like naked when we're like, around the house, like around the hotel, I'm like changing. You're like, when you see like the nude body, and this is like we've gone left because now here we are. It sounds so crazy, but you're like, you can actually, it's a lot. You can see
it is a lot. Yeah, because
not see titties. You also see like
it's
you're unclothed
patterns. Yeah, it's like
you see everything.
Yes,
so that's why you're like, yeah,
don't need to do it. So being at like a swimming pool or something is a lot because I can see a lot. There's a It's not so much. It's energy too because there's a mentality around being a little bit more exposed when you're in a bathing suit or a bra or whatever. But it's the physical stuff too. I can see,
It's
angles
like
of
having a hat, and you take the hat off. You're like, oh, now I like, physically, like I see more. You just see more.
It's more information.
More information
Overload. Yes.
So that's why going back to the first time I met her, when it was told before I even saw her, she will know if you're a good person or a bad person.
Yes.
In so many ways, you can.
Yeah.
And you also don't judge. I will say,
yeah,
you are the most like non-judgmental person ever. Like you will know all kind of things and still be like, I kind of prefer that I know all the things.
I know.
I kind of prefer that you might be a serial killer. I like it. Like
I am one genetic mutation away from being a serial killer.
Okay. But you like to know that someone is like real with real feelings and real than like the fakery and fuckery of like somebody being completely covered in
I
fake.
can see that too though. Like I see if someone is like putting on airs, I can see the wound. That's what's painful for me because I love people and I'm rooting for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So when they come to me with an insecurity and I see the insecurity, but I love them through that insecurity. Yeah. So people can get really lit up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everyone is. Everyone is.
But no, I'm saying like you, but yes. Because people would, your friends, or people when you were to be like, why, how are you friends with Tamica? Like people would perceive me as fake. And you're like, but I see her.
That's part of your whole persona.
Don't tell the people.
It's intentional, everyone.
Don't tell the people.
I won't tell your secrets. But yes, no, everyone could be like, yeah, how are you friends with her? No one really knows you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no one really knows me either. Mm-hmm. Well, until today. Mm-hmm. But yes, people don't see the sides of you that I see. The little, and I won't go there because it's a lot. But I see you. We'll leave it at that. Okay. I do see you, and I've always seen you since day one. So it feels really good to the receiver or the recipient to be like, oh, to feel an all-encompassing love for that human being who's flawed or human or wounded. I see past all of the fakery and fuckery.
That's why people are drawn to you too, because I think you come like people don't even know why they are drawn to you, but that's why, because you're very clear about all of your intentions. You're not you don't come with like any of it. People are like, why do I like her so much? And that's all. That's the reason why.
Oh, that's nice.
But that's why people like people. Like when you see somebody, meet somebody, you're like, I feel connected to you. It's just they're coming with like a raw.
Yeah, and sometimes because you come with a filter, most people you can't connect to. So when I'm looking past the filter, people feel lit up instantly because they're like, whoa, this is different. Me. Yeah, and you love me. Parts of me that I don't even love about myself.
Right.
So, but it's encompassing that whole humanity. Like I love that depth of self-love, self-acceptance. Yeah. I'm gonna love you regardless of your insecurities.
I love to end right there because you're so, it seems a lot. It seems too much. And then when you break down what you do and then you still are human, you still are a friend, you still love, you're still that great sister, that great daughter, it makes sense. It makes sense why you are who you are. I think you have a great future. you have to tune into all the episodes because I feel like there's so much more about you. I just want to get your story out and why you got here and what you do. But I think that you doing all of this work and with different people will expose different sides of you.
Yeah.
To really let like all of it, because everybody can take away something, can learn something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
You're one of my favorite people. If not, I mean, I have kids and married, but
you can say it.
You're top tier.
I'm your favorite.
You're top tier. You're my favorite alien for sure.
Yeah.
But you are, and I love you, and I can't love you enough. And there's so much. I wish I could talk for 4 hours about all the things about you, but that's for our secret time.
Yes, I know. No, I love you too, and I love that you are so authentic and real. Part of my, just to go off on you for a second, which you deserve. I know you've been doing really well.
This is the Ask Amberleigh show, but go ahead and close this out with the Tamica vibe. I love it.
Because you've been dying for it, so I'll give it to you. I'll toss you a cookie. So you've been so good. So no, what I love about you is that, which I struggle with within myself, is having the courage to be exactly how I am and how I feel in the moment. You don't care about how someone's receiving you. And I love that about you because it gives you room and space to show up and be exactly who you are and embrace that. And people can deal with it because it's true. It's like their perception of you or the way they receive you has everything to do with them, nothing to do with you. If you feel like I just want to, explode right now or be who I am or say how I feel, everyone's entitled to that. But I love that you really allow yourself to go there. You give yourself permission to do that.
And I was going in a different direction until you have helped me in a lot of ways. Back to you.
Yeah.
I feel like it's bridesmaids.
And Las Escuelas.
Just start winding us out. Well, you helped me see the real me. So no, funny. I was going in a really bad direction, and you have helped me zone that back in and find the real Tamica and it's okay to be authentic Tamica, and who stands in line stands in line.
Right.
If you don't, you don't, and that's just how it's going to be. So, the end.
Yeah.
The end. The Ask Amberleigh show. I cannot wait to hear more. Where everybody's the host.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. To be awkward. No, thank you seriously for all the things you already know. But
they don't know.
You're like, say it.
Just say it. No, they don't. They don't know. They don't know about you. They
well,
know now.
You do know like all of my everything I've gone through to get to this point too. So thank you for being there for me and for assisting me and helping me even with producing this.
But stop. That's what we do. No one needs to know all the nuances.
I know.
It's just, it is. But whatever. That's a whole other show.
Subscribe. We're going to get there.
Anything else you want to say in last words?
Thank you for being patient with me and holding the space for me to get my story out. Because I've never actually, with all the years of podcasting, I started podcasting like over 7 years ago, and I have never told my story ever. Ever.
Do you feel like you've told it? Do you feel like you have?
Yeah. I feel like I've touched on everything. And for the parts that I didn't, maybe it'll come out in a book.
Yes. Ooh.
That might be fun.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Save the good stuff.
Yeah. So, thank you everyone for watching. Subscribe.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the Ask Amberleigh show, episode 1. Done. Yes.